We're starting our next panel on topics of enterprise software, SaaS, and infrastructure. Please welcome Mike Sandler, our very good friend, supporter, and CEO of Epifan Video. Epifan Video exceeds $100 million in revenue, bootstrap company, and servicing over 50,000 customers. By the way, today's conference video streamed by Epifan equipment, so those who online could tell how good it actually works. So, Mike, please, your panel, and probably we start from introducing our judges.
Yeah. Hi, where are we starting? Ariel, probably. Let's start from you. Can you introduce yourself?
Sure. Does this work? Hi, everybody. My name is Ariel Tseitlin. I'm a partner with Scale Venture Partners. We are early, mid-stage VC investor. We're focusing mostly on enterprise software. Once a product has been built and is starting to scale, a lot of investments in SaaS, security, and cloud infrastructure. My own background is mostly on the operating side. I joined Scale about 4 or 5 years ago. Before that, was an operator for all of my career, was in charge of streaming operations in the cloud platform team at Netflix immediately before coming to Scale.
Gary?
Yeah, thank you. I'm Gary Little. Thank you for having me here today. It says I'm from Morgenthaler Ventures, and that's true. I've been there for about 20 years, but in 2013, we created a new firm, Canvas Ventures, and that's where our new investments are being made out of. Where Morgenthaler celebrated its 50th anniversary this year, Canvas has raised its second fund, and we have about $475 million under management. We're early stage software mainly, and I'd say we focus on the new enterprise, both infrastructure and solution level, as well as marketplaces, fintech, and other verticals.
So I know exactly what it's like to have a new name and an old one as well. Maybe that's why we're sitting next to each other. My introduction was given earlier. My name is Alex Rosen. I've been investing in enterprise software for a bit over 20 years. I've invested in 51 companies. About 20 of them I've exited with a combined value of $12 billion. And I'm hoping to keep doing this for another 20 years.
Spencer Tall, and we just recently changed our name from Allegis Capital to Allegis Cyber, which reflects our focus, which is on cybersecurity. And we are currently raising our 8th fund, and I've been doing venture for about 23 years.
Eric Buatois, partner at Benhamou Global Venture. We focus on B2B enterprise software, early stage, typically the Series A. We're investing in 3 areas: cybersecurity, industrial IoT, and of course, enterprise software SaaS. And about 50% of our deal flow is cross-border, i.e. company that originated outside the USA, mainly from Europe, Russia, Ukraine, France, Spain, UK, and also India.
Hi, I'm Reza Malekzadeh with Partech. So we have not changed our name, and we're not planning to change our name. So that's our main differentiator. So we operate offices in Europe and in the US, so we're a transatlantic fund. We have 3 different pockets of money for early stage, mid stage, and late stage. I primarily focus myself on earlier stage and enterprise software and infrastructure. I joined the firm 2 years ago, and for the 20 years prior to that, I was an operator primarily at VMware for a long time.
Hi, good afternoon. I'm Umesh Padval. I've been 10 years in the venture industry, 8 years at Bessemer Ventures, and then joined Thomvest Ventures in the last 2 years. Focus in enterprise software, but mostly in cybersecurity and cloud infrastructure. Done 6 investments in the last 2 years, and lucky enough to have 2 exits within that in the cybersecurity space. We do all stages. We are stage agnostic, which is unique for us. We've led a Series D in Sky High Networks, and then we've done a Series A and Seed in Baffle. We support the best entrepreneurs, the best company, and don't care about the stage. We're lucky enough to do that. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the introduction. I just want to say, recently I SaaS model and cloud computing models come to the school. And recently, Stanford Continuous Education make a course, Cloud Computing and Subscription Models, which I just complete. And I've been very surprised to see my lecturer in audience here, Chuck DeVita. Thank you, Chuck. It was a great course. Well, I have tons of questions. We have 15 minutes, 24 seconds. Obviously, we cannot answer much. But if I can ask just briefly some markets, trends, recent trends, most of interesting in terms of investment opportunities, most of innovative, if you wish, maybe something which recently you've seen and you want to share and impressed by that.
Sure. Yeah, everybody asks what's hot, and I think the easiest way to answer is, well, what did you just invest in? Because that's what you thought was hot. So my last two investments, one was a relational database, a SQL relational database that runs on GPUs and GPU clusters, and that's to ingest billions of rows of data and then do SQL calls on them in near real time. And the reason for that is Oracle and other databases just break at that scale. So we're looking to thinking that GPUs can run those in parallel. The other one is a company called Platform 9, which is, as the world goes from virtualization to containers, this is the next is serverless, and it has a leading open source project in serverless called Fission.io, and you can manage the serverless Kubernetes containers and virtualized environments using the same cloud management platform.
Maybe if I can ask somebody about some interesting verticals, interesting verticals, and interesting and non-interesting. I also would like to ask your opinion for something no-fly zone. Don't go to cloud if you have that vertical or something. We just chat briefly 5 minutes before, and we agree that medical is probably a very difficult area to work on a SaaS model. Maybe anybody can...
Actually, just to make it a little bit interesting, I want to have a contrarian view. I actually don't think there is a no-fly zone, because for me, the way I look at it, cloud is just the new infrastructure. And even the medical area you talked about, we're seeing more and more applications where the data is gathered and basically there's calculations done on the cloud and then sent back to the practitioners. So the cloud is not replacing the doctor, but assisting. And there's a lot of new applications in this biotech field that are much more tech than they're bio. And we recently invested in a company called Cardiologs that basically digitizes all of the scans that you might have around your heart activity and then sends them for central treatment in a data center and then provides feedback to the doctor operator. So I actually have the contrarian view that I don't see a no-fly zone necessarily for cloud.
How about universities? I recently talked with one of top university in video production, Northwestern University, and I offered them monthly payment structure, and they said, no, don't even think about it. We need to know what we've got, we need to know what we paid, we don't pay anymore, we need to step by step, very conservative. That's what
I'll chime in. I think I share Reza's perspective in that I don't think that there's anything that isn't amenable to having a cloud delivery model, but you do have to marry that with what the market will accept. And there are certain verticals that just don't like subscription pricing, right? So automotive, for example, is one where they want fixed pricing for what goes into a car, and they don't want, they don't like subscription pricing as much. Manufacturing is another where they want to know what their plants are going to cost them. So while you can think about any business and any product being built in a cloud-delivered way and being priced in a subscription model, you always have to match that against reality, right? Which is, what do your buyers actually want? How do your buyers want to spend?
Okay, well, that's very promising, but something challenging, something dangerous, something not what you have negative experience about that, because so far what I hear, everything is too positive, but I still kind of very scared to step in.
I'll go negative. So I think that it is easy to look at the online retailers and see just how much they are suffering because of Amazon, and think of 1,000 different ways that you can build product and deliver it to them, whether it's better optimization or better shopping cart experience or retargeting, whatever else. And I think that just that vertical is a really tough one in which to build at least a large venture-backed business, with a couple of notable exceptions. But overall, as a vertical, it's tough because you're selling into a vertical where overall the margins are under pressure, where the profitability is under pressure, where they're playing sort of endless catch-up to Amazon. So that'll be my one negative comment.
Well, that's good. That's a very good comment. I heard complaints actually today about Amazon and how business has been destroyed because of Amazon. It's a very big gorilla to...
But just to do the same counter, our best performing portfolio company is a wedding commerce site called Zola, and it's just crushing it right now. And they add a lot of value to the brides and grooms, so it's not a traditional retailer. It's a novel business model. But other than that, I thought I was going to hate that one. Other than that, I would agree with you. I'd also offer ad tech, as much as we love it because all the technology involved. It's a hard place to get funded. So once you invest, it's hard to get other people to follow on with additional investment. So that, I'd say, is close to a no-fly zone.
Thank you. Well, before I can ask the last question about current situation, about last year's changes, I just briefly want to insert another question to our panel about partners. I'm doing transition from product selling to SaaS. And my current channel sales about 75%. And according some of sources, I should kiss them bye and forget about them and never consider, because they are box movers and they cannot understand anything more sophisticated. And honestly speaking, I'm kind of close to consider that. Any experience with resellers in SaaS business? Partners, channel partners?
I mean, generally, the channel can be one of the more efficient ways for you to go to market, because building a direct sales force and paying highly paid enterprise sales reps to do direct sales is if you have a very high ASP and you're able to charge a lot for the service to justify that, then that can make your sales efficiency work. But in most businesses, you need to have some type of channel strategy. And there's a lot of channels out there, whether VARs or SIs or all different kinds of partnerships that for our company's channel is absolutely one of the strategies that we want to employ, because otherwise, if you're just trying to scale with direct sales, it's hard to build a large scale business that way.
And the onus is on you and your product. Right? The more complete your product is, the better your materials are, the better your channel is going to function. And so a lot of the onus is on you and your support. And also I find with our company, squeaky wheels get the grease. And so if you pester your channel all the time, you'd be surprised at how much better they will perform.
The only thing I would add to that is that I think you probably need different channel partners, because the way that your current channel gets compensated, what they actually do with the end customer, with a SaaS product versus an on-prem product is quite different, right? It's much less about installation. It's much more about kind of how do you use it, how does it fit into your business environment, right? And therefore, what are the skills that you need from those channel partners, and then how do you compensate them? So I don't think you get rid of the channel. You probably look for a different kind of channel.
Yeah, that's a very, very good comment. I totally agree with you, because historically, my best channel was Japan. And until now, over 15 years, Japan is selling over 6% of everything, in addition to other 48 channels. And Japan is the only reseller, Japanese reseller, the only reseller who actually understand what we're trying to push, what we're trying to do, and they really pick it up very fast. And they said we are very, very cloud-based country. We really stopped doing that. I think it's a great guideline what to do. Well, and final question, probably to all of participants. Maybe we can also start from one another. I just want to ask, what's happened last year? What's happened recently? What's happening? What comes up to your mind of success or non-success or any different things? What impressed you recently? Just in whatever can start.
You know, if you look at the papers every day, the biggest threat is the cybersecurity threat around the world. You see all kinds of breaches, whether it's one nation attacking other one, enterprises being attacked, everyone being hacked, bounty, all that. So that pain point is only going to get worse. Because if you really look at the hackers, all they have to find out is one small area in your enterprise to get through, whereas the enterprises have to protect 100% of everything, which is impossible. So the cybersecurity problem is getting worse and worse as technology advances. And also, as you move to the cloud, the surface attack area starts getting worse. So I think the surface attack being wider without boundaries is providing a lot of opportunities there. The second point I would make, which is very important, is a lot of security is done in a manual way by analysts doing lots of stuff, looks at the alert. By the time they get to the alert, it's hacked. They don't know which one are good alerts and which are bad alerts. So anything which you can automate with machine learning, progressing to artificial intelligence to deep learning, to help the analysts pinpoint out in terms of the 1,000 alerts that came to them through so many security software companies, which one are the top 5 they should focus on with some history and some adaptive learning. That's going to be a massive area.
Thank you. Well, cybersecurity, very good point. I feel sorry for my accent.
I agree with Umesh, and we're losing. We're not getting better. And it doesn't matter how much we spend, we're not even treading water when it comes to cybersecurity. And when we look at the cloud, Umesh is right, the surface area has increased dramatically, and I think it requires an entire architectural change in the approach. And you almost have to secure the apps themselves at their genesis, and even secure the services as you go forward. Otherwise, it's very difficult to secure the cloud.
But still, you know, we have banks, which everybody using, and it's cloud. And everybody using one of the most important, one of most important secrets. Nobody actually using a different way now, and nobody trading stock different way. Everybody keep information in the cloud.
So I think the banks and healthcare are moving slowly because they have so much confidential information that they're staying on premise. However, cost of service is going to be, if you don't move to the cloud, they're going to be dinosaurs. So they'll have to figure out which applications move to the cloud, which stay on premise, how do they protect data. Because of that, one big area for investment is digital identity. As you go to the cloud, when you sign on, are you the person who you are when you sign on? And I think that area is going to need a lot of, what do you call, authentication and other
double authentication based on biometric
even beyond that, actually.
Well, my application, my bank now, I just push the button on a phone, it check my face and authenticate automatically.
So
works very well so far. Yeah.
I mean, I agree. Security is a great place to invest. I wouldn't necessarily call it new, right? To take the contrarian view, you know, it's been for the last 5-6 years. It's been a really big area that's been attracting venture investment, and it's, you know, you have to go, what probably Target was one of the first more prominent breaches that happened, what is it now, 5 years ago, right, where it was had a massive breach of all of its users. So securities, I like security, but it's I think it's been around for a little while from an investment standpoint. The areas that we're seeing kind of new and interesting, at least ones that we haven't spent as much time on before, is, you know, we did a lot in core horizontal SaaS. You know, whether it's sales enablement, marketing automation, you know, you can run the gamut, and that it feels like that's that tape is also played out a little bit, where there aren't as many interesting opportunities there, and there's a lot of really big companies that are sucking up a lot of the oxygen for those types of opportunities, right? Like Salesforce and others. Where we're seeing interesting opportunities is particularly in verticals, and so we made an investment in a company that does software for flight automation for drones, as an example. We made an investment in a company that does electronic log data for truck drivers, because that's a new mandate that was coming to market, and that was an underserved area for a very long time. So we're spending more and more time outside of just core horizontal SaaS in different verticals and different markets.
So I think
quick.
If I may. So from my perspective, one of the things that I find interesting as we're talking about security and other areas is the architecture of applications and data centers is changing. And so the cloud actually started by simplifying things, but then today I actually think it introduces a level of complexity, because part of your application might be here, part of it might be somewhere else. And so whether you're about to secure it, whether you want to control your continuous deployment of the app, etc. So I find it fairly interesting that there's an opportunity to go back to the infrastructure layers and have some very new, interesting investments where people thought for the longest time it's all game and done. But we're starting to see a lot of new technologies that want to look at what it takes to actually secure applications, what it takes to control infrastructure that is completely distributed. So it's in a way, the complexity of the cloud is bringing on a new set of opportunities for investments.
Thank you.
I would like to add a couple of points. So I tend to agree on the vertical, and in fact, in our firm, we're a bit systematic, and we look at which vertical industry could have massive amount of profit or efficiency unlocked with cloud and SaaS. And believe it or not, the second one is food and distribution. So we made one investment in food and distribution, which is amazing. This is an area which is global, everybody works in it. And the inefficiency and what you can unlock with the cloud is really mind-boggling. So there are a lot of verticals to look at it. The second area, I'm quite excited. I would like to come back to digital identity. Not so much on the security space, but I think last year has been really the year where digital identity become mainstream. It's not for security, it's a new way of doing business. So you have some people offering insurance product, you have some people offering a different way to transact. I suspect Bitcoin and ICO cannot exist without some sound digital identity system. And in my mind, this has been a profound inflection that happened in the last year. It moved from a kind of an interesting project to mainstream, I would say. That's the two areas I would like to mention.
Thank you, Eric.
So a sort of a related area to pure software, this area of data as a service, some people are calling it DaaS. So just to think of something a little bit outside the box, we've seen in the last couple of years the ability of companies to collect data from thousands of different sources. It could be on events. So think of events as as big as sporting events, as small as school opening days. Collecting that into one package and selling it to everybody from the hotels to airline companies to anybody doing event planning, right? So just packaging that and selling data as a service. We're not investors in that company, but something that's interesting. We are investors in a company that is aggregating data on an anonymous basis about millions of devices and overlaying that across a map of businesses, and therefore is able to project movement of people in and out of stores, compare it to last month, last year, and sell that to trading institutions and to marketing firms. So think of data, external data being an asset that is being monetized in a similar model to SaaS.
That's a very great example, and it's basically a huge assets of next 10 years, I would say, content. I have similar things in the company. I can tell you details later, but we run out of time. And thank you very much for a panel. Great answer.
Thank you, Mike, for great moderation. And now we're going into excitement part of our panel, pitches and judging of our startups. So, dear judges, you see you have a new toy on the table. Thank you to Google. You have ability to use Google hardware and Google software to use judging. If something going wrong, we still have this paper to fall back. Okay, I hope it's self-explanatory. Now, dear jury, everyone, please, every investor with a blue tag, step forward and sit on the front row. Please fill up these forms. I believe everyone familiar with our scoring system. And if you're ready, so it's more or less clear how to use it. If any question, let me know. And now it's my pleasure to invite the first pitching startups. Sagisu. Sagisu, please step forward. Can we have Sagisu? Oh, 1 second. Everyone in the public, you're welcome to participate in public voting for companies. Download our application from App Store. And we will be able to compare your scores with professional investor scores, and we'll inform you if you're very close to it or not. Okay, Sagisu, please. Can we have Sagisu presentation?
Sure, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you. How is everyone doing? My name is Mithun Kadur. I'm the founder and CEO of Sagisu. Sagisu means transport. It originates from a South Indian language, Kannada. It means commercial transport. So I've spent the last 16 years in retail, e-commerce, omnichannel, and supply chain, and that's where I'm going to spend my time, starting with the presentation. And then I'll talk about the problem. I'll talk about a journey in 3 phases, where we are, and then we'll talk about the race, and I'll take questions from you guys. So today, in the retail space, one of the biggest fear in the industry right now is the fear of extinction. The fear of extinction is because of very simple question, very simple situation right now. It's a two-sided problem, and the two-sided problem is because of the shiny object, which is the e-commerce and omni-channel side of it, and the plumbing of it. The plumbing, which I call it plumbing because of supply chain, which is behind the scenes, which is not typically seen by a lot of people. So who's spoiling the party? Obviously, Amazon. Is there anyone in here who has not shopped in Amazon? None, right? None. So what are we trying to do? We're trying to solve the supply chain problem here. Sagisu is about solving the transportation problem for the large e-commerce players, brands, and so on and so forth. So we are a B2B to B2C player. I'll talk about the problem statement, and I'll talk about the phases, which you'll understand what we're trying to do here. So this is a real-life example, what you see there. So I had ordered a table that was delivered damaged. When it was delivered damaged, I had to return it. I asked the logistics player to take it back. And when we asked the logistics player to take it back, I said, I'm sorry, I can't do it. Please call up the retailer or the e-commerce company. So now I have the big one sitting in my garage, and then I have to coordinate with the e-commerce company to figure out how to return it, or a disposition mechanism wherein I either have to trash it or give it to somebody else. So that's one of the problems. The second problem, what you see, is on the right-hand side. This is I placed one order during Thanksgiving, one order for the merchandise that's shown there, and I got around 30 different packages from one of the largest retailers in the country. So their supply chain right now is not very optimized. There is a lot of logistics problem which is assumed that it works well, but it only works well till it is not really working well, which is a problem that eventually they end up with not having lesser store sales, lesser e-commerce sales, and they cannot compete with the Amazons to deliver faster. So what are we doing? So we are on a mission to reduce the inefficiencies in the urban freight world. So we want to be the largest global logistics player, simplifying freight transportation, starting with India. We are in 3 cities. I'll talk about that. And how big is this problem? If I have to break the transportation world itself, it's around $1.2 trillion in the United States and around $10 trillion globally. If I break this further down, there is intra-city and there is intercity. Intercity is the line haul business, and the line haul is the majority of the transportation that occurs in the country. So we are going after the local trucks or the intercity transportation, intracity transportation. So what is happening here? There is a phenomenal change in the buying pattern of a consumer. A consumer that used to buy physically walking into the store is moving into digital pattern of buying, which essentially means the intracity deliveries are increasing significantly, which also means that if I don't like the product, I'm going to return it. And if I'm going to return it, I need a better way to return it back. So today, I have to go to UPS, USPS, or FedEx to return a product. So now coming into the solution side, so we have built a three-sided ecosystem connecting shippers with carriers and customers. So we have powered it with, it's on Amazon Web Services, obviously. We have the best in technology there. It's a mobile-based platform. It also has the web-based application as well. So if I have to talk about our journey in the next three phases, Sagisu 1.0, Sagisu 2.0, and Sagisu 3.0. At 1.0, we want to be the shipping concierge in the consumer market, B2C, direct to the customer, and we want to enable or simplify your returns. How do we do that? You should have a very seamless mechanism to manage your return. It should be, hey, Alexa, call Sagasu for my return. What's the status of my order? Across retailers, I should be able to figure this out. Today, it's not very seamless. So that's Sagasu 1.0, which we're trying to launch in New York and San Francisco. The other part of the 1.0 is an aggregation business in the intracity space. I'll talk about that a little later. The second problem which we're trying to address is about increasing the asset utilization. Today, the current average trips per driver per day is anywhere between 0.8 to 1.4 across the world in intracity or in the urban freight industry itself. We think we could potentially increase it to around between 2 and 4. And how do we do that? We build the demand curves across various different industries. And we start with milk runs, e-commerce deliveries, B2B deliveries, which is, and
sorry,
if we have,
thank you. Time is up. Okay, questions.
Yeah.
How do you make money?
We take a cut of the right now we are doing aggregated transportation, and we take a cut of the charges for the enterprise customers. We have around 8 customers. We have done around $500,000 in revenue.
Great.
Yes. Padval?
What's your monetization scheme?
So there's 2 portions to this. In the B2B enterprise segment, we have fixed contracts with the large enterprises, and we take commission based out of it. The consumer segment, we have not yet put a strategy around how we are going to monetize it. We don't want to have a barrier to entry at launch, so we are thinking about making it freemium, if I can say.
What's the competitive dynamic?
The competitive advantage here is going to be the technology which we are building, and we're trying to be one-stop shop, understanding all the dynamics of intracity logistics.
Who are your head customers?
Today we are working with the large enterprises in India. We have not yet launched in the US. Bisleri is one of our customers. So right now, if I have to say, we have made around $600,000. We are looking to make hit around $2 million for next year.
A question from jury? No questions? Thank you, Sagisu.
Thank you.
And our next company is OpenSea. OpenSea? Can we have OpenSea presentation, please? Okay. Presentation, OpenSea, please. Good luck.
Good day, everybody. I'm very excited to be here today. My name is Vasily. I'm the founder of OpenSea Pro. It is a cargo ship chartering marketplace. Think of us as the matching service of the seas. We help to connect ships with cargoes online. Over 10 years, I was working in the maritime sphere in different roles, and especially in ship chartering. When I was working as a ship owner, I could easily spend weeks in search of the best-paying cargo and even any kind of cargo. And that was a very stressful job, and that was my personal pain. Right now, chartering managers still function as they did 30 years ago. They sort through hundreds, if not thousands, of email from all over the world and sending faxes, making numerous calls with the same problem. They are looking for the best cargo for the best ship. And with OpenSea, we completely streamlined the process, letting our users to find that perfect match in just a few minutes. Not only do we create efficiencies, we help our users to find few offers and easily choose the best one. But let me show you how does it work. Can I get a video? Thank you. So, as you can see, the process of registering in the platform takes just a few minutes. And this is a cargo owner. So right after filling the details of his profile, he can input the details of the cargo. This process usually takes a few minutes. So from the registration up to getting the match, they usually take 15 minutes. And right after getting the perfect match, they right in the platform can send an offer and get instant reply. So the whole process can be fixed from the beginning till the end right on the platform. That is our solution. Guys. OK. Our business model is based on taking just 1% commission from total freight costs of the charter party concluded in the platform. And the market is huge. We have competitors. They are mostly major software companies, but we also have few younger startups in the field. And our competitive advantage is that we completely streamline the process, the communications, and letting our users to conclude the chartered party right in the platform. We already have more than 3,000 of companies registered. They have generated hundreds of matches and dozens of negotiations. But what is most important is that huge enterprise companies like Cargill or Unilever are also approaching us, and we are starting pilot projects with them. We have a team of professionals from different parts of the business, as well as we have advisors. And still, the global shipping market is broken. And we are here to change it. So join us, and let's take this market together. Thank you.
Thank you. Now time for questions. Questions from judges.
So in this market, and I admit I've never had to ship cargo by ship, but I'm curious, how often does the shipper have to find kind of new routes and new destinations versus having 2 or 3 kind of core routes they have to go back to over and over?
It depends usually on the sales. So most probably, if it is, let's say, a big company, then they have few options, and it could be easily up to 10 options for discharging. So, and even for loading as well. So big companies are usually taking big contracts. For example, for the bunch of shipments, or for some, let's say, few shipments and some volume, monthly basis or annual basis. And small companies doing mostly from one port to another port, or from one region to some particular port.
So just a quick follow-up. So what would prevent, once a small company finds one shipper, you know, that they like, just, I'm sorry, the shipper, one cargo ship, just sticking with that?
To find each other in our platform?
Found them once, and they found them, each other once through your platform, and just keep using it.
Yeah, that's the usual question, and the answer is that, yeah, I mean, it's obvious. And the thing is, first is that market participants are, there are some rules on the market that prevents from such kind of movements, because it is very reputation based business. And another case is that even if you will have the direct contact with that particular client, but next time your ship will be in another region, and you will have to find more clients in another region, and that is why they will coming back to us.
Okay. You seem to indicate that your key advantage compared to the competition is real time and cost. Now, in this business, what does real time mean? I see on your demo you require answer in 15 minutes, but then I need a truck that needs to go to the harbor and load in the container. So what does real time mean in your business? Is it really that important?
Yes. Let's say when you are looking for the cargo and your ship is staying in some area and port, and there is no cargo, you can't find it. But still, you as a ship owner will have to pay for that idle stay. And it could be easily but it is usually thousands of dollars.
Do you do any kind of dynamic pricing depending on the availability of a particular ship?
No, because in every particular shipment, both sides decide what will be the freight rate. We can only give them an advice, what is the current freight level. But then they are discussing, because it is depending on the terms of each one shipment.
Last question. I suspect you're trying to displace the brokers, which are, but I could imagine that the brokers have a very personal and sticky relationship with at least the people who need them. Is it an issue of price and real time to dislodge this relationship, or is it more than that?
One of our competitive advantages is that we are open for ship brokers. And half of our users are ship brokers because they are in more competitive environment. And for them, we are giving even double value because they can place ships and cargoes together. And they understand the price of their time because they have lots of offers coming to their email, and they have the problem of sorting much more bigger.
Okay. Short question.
You focused on the broker and the administration part. It seems like one of the advantages is that you can address the ship utilization. And if you can have the ships more fully loaded, the shippers can offer better pricing to the shippers, and you get a virtuous cycle. Is that true?
Yes. And I mean, this business and this business model gives value both to the shippers and the ship owners. Because ship owners, they have opposite value. Ship owners would like to get paid more, and shippers would like to pay less. But in any case, both of them would be satisfied. Because in our situation, they will have choice. That is the point.
Thank you. OpenSea, let's...
Thank you very much.
Okay. Judges, is it electronic system work okay? You satisfied with it? Okay. And next company, TapClassifieds. Please welcome TapClassifieds. And can we have presentation?
Thank you. Good afternoon. I'm Jaideep Jain. I'm the CEO of TapClassifieds. We have over 250 automotive customers, and we help them with digital marketing. So I'm sure we have all seen ads like this before.
I am Crazy Hubbard Whitfield. Come on down to Crazy Hubbard's used car lot. We've got prices slashing down from 2004s to 1989 models. Come on down here. You got to see these cars.
So believe it or not, the car dealerships haven't really progressed from that, yet most of the car buyers have. Over a third of the buying power today is with the millennials. That's the fastest growing segment. And the way the millennials shop for cars is changing. Most of them do their research online. They do their research on their mobile devices. Yet most of the dealerships are not really ready for this. Over 90% of the dealerships' website are not mobile friendly. This is a fairly large market. The automotive industry spends over $9 billion a year just in marketing in the US. The dealerships also spend an additional about $13 billion a year in dealership operations management software. That's where TapClassifieds comes in. We are a platform that helps the auto dealerships make the strategic shift towards these new buyers, towards the millennials. What we do is we help them market where the buyers are. We connect directly into their backend systems. We have a proprietary distribution algorithm that can distribute their inventory, syndicate it to multiple classified and social media sites. We do lead generation and lead capture, including a messaging platform that helps them capture all the leads in a single channel. We are currently integrated with over 50 inventory management systems and CRM systems within the dealership network. 3 key areas for our platform. The primary one is classifieds. The next one is social media marketing. And then the newest one is search engine marketing. Classified started off with Craigslist. It's still one of the most popular ones for car marketing. But what we are doing now is shifting over to some of the new age mobile-first sites that are designed for the millennials, like Facebook Marketplace, like Letgo, 5 Miles, and OfferUp. And we're fully integrated with all of these sites as well. We also obviously do Facebook and Instagram dynamic ads. These are very VIN-specific, very vehicle-specific ads. But the biggest power of our platform is the data that we collect. We get data for about 2 million cars every month. So we have the inventory-based data. We capture data for the ad response and the transactions. And based on that, we provide some valuable insights to the dealerships. We also use this data for using classification algorithms, using regression analysis, to constantly improve our algorithms that helps lower the customer acquisition cost for the dealerships. We are continuing to expand our services. We are increasing the product offering to increase the MRR per dealer. And we're also adding new machine learning and AI algorithms to continue to improve our algorithms within the system. We are really proud of our partners. We have really strong partnerships with large media companies and with advertising agencies. Over 70% of our customers come through these channel partners. We also have strong partnerships with dealership groups like DG here in the Bay Area, and with disruptors like Carvana. So we are an exclusive mobile-first classifieds solution for Carvana. So using this, we are growing rapidly. We have over 250 paying customers at this point, and we're on target for over $3.5 million ARR in this year. Really strong team. Our executive staff has worked on multiple startups with exits. Our operational staff has a lot of experience both in the media space as well as in the automotive space. So we are in a great market, poised for growth. Like I said, over 250 paying customers. And we have a platform that can very easily move over to other transportation sectors like motorcycles, RVs, trucks, and boats. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, TapClassified. Question from judges.
So I thought it was an awesome presentation in terms of the way you focused on describing what the company does and the results. So congrats on that. Kind of maybe an obvious question, but how do you think about competing with other channels that the auto sellers have in terms of getting customers, right? Anybody from Google to Facebook to other much smaller channels.
So we help them advertise on Google and Facebook. What we are competing against are channels like AutoTrader that are single verticals. But what we essentially do is help dealerships go to where the millennials are. And the millennials are not going to AutoTrader. They are more on Facebook Marketplace. They're more on LetGo. And that's kind of what we do with the dealerships. So we are more platform agnostic rather than being a single vertical.
How is the market for millennials and the way that they purchase cars changing? So what you're addressing is how to find information for millennials, but it feels like the way they're purchasing cars and just their car ownership habits is changing significantly. So is this something that's going to be around? Are millennials going to be going to dealerships to buy cars 5 years from now, 10 years from now?
So I agree with you. I think that's something that I looked at over 6 months ago. The millennials' buying pattern is changing. So as they first take their job, they live up in the city, they probably take Uber to go everywhere. They don't have a car. But what happens is over a few years, they move out of the suburb and they buy the car. So the only thing that is shifting is when they buy the car. But what is also shifting is how they buy the car. So millennials make up over a third of the buying power today. And that's the fastest growing segment of all the car purchases that we see today. And US sells about 19 million cars every year. And millennials buy over a third of those.
A question from jury. Yes, please. Yes.
A very good presentation and good traction. How do you see an exit? Where might it come? It's a bit limiting because of the nature of what you do.
So we have scope for growing beyond the automotive space. One of the biggest strengths for us is our relationship with the media companies. And the media companies want to take us not just in the automotive sector, but the next sector would be a real estate for rental market, not for sales. So we have areas for growth there. But I think in terms of exit, there's a lot of companies like the auto traders of the world that want to expand beyond just a vertical. And that could be an exit for us as well.
More questions? No? OK. Thank you, TapClassifieds.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next company is Synapse. Please welcome Synapse. Synapse? Can we have? Oh, perfect.
OK, great.
OK.
Hello, everybody. I'm Peter Thomas, founder and CEO of Synapse. And we're making external communication less work and more productive. Speaking of synapses, about a week and a half ago, I had a bad sports accident, fractured skull, 2 contusions, and a concussion. So hopefully my synapses are firing a little bit better than the app is. Thanks for your time today. So back in, there's been a lot of space conversation today. Back in 1999, everybody probably remembers when NASA lost the Mars probe. Interesting enough, the reason why they lost this probe was the Lockheed team was speaking in the metric system, where JPL and NASA were speaking in the imperial system. This loss of communication eventually meant that the $125 million probe basically burned up in the Martian atmosphere. Everybody also definitely remembers this as well. Florida International University, recent bridge collapse there. An engineer, 2 days before the collapse, realized there was serious cracking in the bridge, left a voicemail. The voicemail wasn't heard, left that voicemail 2 days before the bridge collapse. The voicemail wasn't heard by local officials until after the fact. So they're still all sifting through emails trying to find out who knew what and when. So the best team chat apps of today have really eliminated a lot of distractions. They've helped teams get lots of things done. But as these two examples just showed, the reality is that today, real work is happening outside this kind of traditional team. In fact, it's not just a vertical team that's getting real work done. It's multiple organizations working together in tandem that's really making things happen. So we might not all be like SpaceX. We might not all be putting spaceships into orbit, but really these communication factors of concise, precise, and integrated communications across all partners really are the factor between ensuring that the work that we're doing either becomes an explosive success or a fiery failure. So our company started in 2015, and we actually started as a services company. We were doing consulting work for 3 of Japan's largest and most famous companies here, Muji, Zozotown, and Zensho. We had a need to enhance our collaboration, so we tried a lot of different things. And this ideal world, this ideal team of an integrated team we tried to do across Slack. But the reality is that our world was a lot different. We had literally hundreds of companies across the world that we needed to connect in order to build the products and brands that we were making for our partners. So we did the math, and in order to use an off-the-shelf option similar to Slack, we were going to be paying almost $250,000 a year simply for these collaboration fees. So we we looked at that, and we decided we had to design something for our work, and we came up with this idea that we're calling now an integrated collaboration app. Which essentially does for external communication what a Slack does for team communication. But what does this all mean? So I want to just kind of walk you through what a day in the life of a Synapse user would look like. So it's first thing in the morning, and the team's getting together. The team is in 5 different countries, and we're speaking in Japanese, English, Mandarin, Russian, and Korean. 8 o'clock rolls around, and we're with our partners in China and Japan, and we're working on a new eel bone snack. Not sure if anybody's had eel bone, but it's a delight. 8:30, it's 8:30, and we're in Poland with one of Europe's best soups and curries manufacturers working on a first production run. 9 a.m., we're back in China with a Japanese and Chinese partner working on a specification for a new juice product. At 9:30, with our Mexican and Japanese partners working on a frozen Japanese beef bowl that's going to be hitting the Mexican retail market shortly. 10 a.m., we're reviewing questions from a Chinese convenience store operator who had some questions about a recent business pitch. 10:30, a little bit early for a drink, but our Japanese and Italian customers wanted to review results on a recent Italian wine brand launch. It's 11 a.m. Now we're in Brazil, talking about how we can roll this wall art campaign out to more locations around São Paulo. 11:30. It's 11:30, so we're getting a little bit hangry. And even at this time, this 200-year-old white soy sauce, not sure if anybody's had white soy sauce, but recipe sounds absolutely delightful. But this is a 200-year-old Japanese company, and they're looking to enter the U.S. market. So this is kind of like an example of what a Synapse morning would look like. Here we've got 20 companies, 250 users, 8 languages, multiple global projects across the world, all happening before lunch, with not a single email being passed and forth in complete alignment between all different partners. And I'd like to think that this happened all while I was sitting on the beach at La Jolla. So let me tell you what makes Synapse different from a lot of the other options that are out there today. So a single Synapse team workspace really integrates multiple companies, users, and languages. A single Synapse user account enables user to work with unlimited partners, limitless combinations with on-the-fly translations over 100 languages, and the UI to do this all simultaneously. So we're pivoting now out of this consulting business, and we're moving into a SaaS model. Just this month, actually, we're launching our SaaS billing model, and we've completed our SOC 2 readiness reporting with the Cadence Group. Our model is basically a $5 a month monthly bill, $4 annual billing for the functionality I just spoke about. This integrated collaboration is basically in between team collaboration, live chat with customers, and instant messenger spaces. So this is an altogether kind of new idea. Thank you. Okay. Time's up. Time's up. Thank you. Okay. Thought I was moving quickly.
Now it's time for questions.
Thank you.
So it sounds like you solved a problem that you had around communicating in a lot of different languages across different time zones.
Yes.
I mean, that seems like a pretty unique need where most organizations are probably going to be within one or a couple of different time zones and one or two languages. Is it really just pricing that makes it better than Slack for these kinds of use cases, or is there something deeper that we didn't get to?
It's a great question. I think it's a combination. It's really a combination of one, pricing, and it's also a combination of the ability to multitask across an unlimited number of integrated projects. And then, again, the challenge that we really dealt with, not with just Slack, because Slack's awesome. We just loved it. But the reality is that it was great for like a vertically integrated team. But when we had to have 3+ different partners out there, logistics or packaging or ingredients, to get a single project to market, Slack just, the existing team options just didn't work. So it was a combination of pricing, unlimited teams, the ability to get multiple companies in there working together, and then as those teams would be in the same workspace, they could also have their own private areas as well as collaborate in the public areas as well. So it really did become, it was our original problem, but I'm sorry to miss this slide. It was actually just coming right up. But what we found is that there's 500 million small and medium enterprises globally, and a lot of them are in China, India, and everybody's really faced with these same issues. And so we feel that really that's the opportunity, is to go after these SMEs and give them a new way to really connect with the world, connect with their partners, their clients, and do business in a way, like I said, before lunch, you've been everywhere, and the work is rolling without a single email.
Okay, more questions? Yes, question from Judy. Can we have microphone?
Thank you. So a lot of people in the room probably have multiple email addresses, and the reason for that is we like to keep our information in silos that have NDAs. How do you, I understand you probably have solved this technically, but how do you solve for the perception that if I'm a supplier and I post my Excel sheet to you, everyone on that channel isn't getting access to it or on that platform?
That's a good question. So again, very similar to the way a Slack would work. Each inside a workspace, you will have public areas and you'll have basically private areas, and anything posted would basically be posted to only the members that have been specifically invited into that area. So, per your question, just a few minutes ago, I had a bunch of things going on with another project in Europe, but basically 5 different companies, and everybody is sharing and working back and forth with things that they just need with this company or they need with this company. And once users figure it out, because many people have that concern, they'll be like, well, if I put it here, isn't everybody going to be able to see it? And then they figure it out, and then it's off to the races, and it's very easy for them to use. The great thing is never having to hear, did you email that to me? I sent it to you. Oh, can you send it back to me again? And these conversations where that morning of 8 projects across all the world, you can imagine just trying to get on the same page with one guy in China about what you were asking him to do. So there's it was an issue. The Synapse came from an issue that we held, and then after we worked through it, we found from working with these hundreds of companies, we found the bigger opportunity wasn't continuing in this consulting model, but it was actually a pivot to the SaaS model, even though it meant a short-term giving up of the revenue from the consulting side. So but specifically, people get it, and then they're.
Thank you, Synapse.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And before we go to the next company, let's introduce our jury. You have where is the microphone for jury? Can we have, let's start from the left side. Very shortly, 20 seconds, introduce yourself, your focus and your fund or club. 20 seconds. Yes, please.
Oh, my name is Cyril. I'm a general partner at SOSV and the founder of Hacks, and I'll be on the stage a little bit later afterwards.
Oh, yes. Please. Please.
Hello, I'm Alex Lupachev, and I represent Sigler Gaf, which is a partner with SVOD.
Thank you.
We are a large asset management firm based in New York.
My name is Dmitry Alamov. I'm the founder of Frontier Ventures. We're an early stage VC fund based in Cupertino, investing in Series A and Series Seed companies.
Okay, I'm Yuri Sivitsky. I already represent myself in the morning. Yeah, TapClassifieds Ventures company.
Hi, I'm Dmitry Kolchin, based in Palo Alto. I'm an angel investor.
Hi, I'm Stu Soffer, also based in Palo Alto. I do technical due diligence and IP analysis of startups for investors, and I invest in AR and IoT.
Cameron Turner, co-manager of the Oxford Angel Fund and venture partner for Spike Ventures, Stanford's angel group.
Ron Weissman, head of the software group for the Band of Angels, one of the U.S.'s oldest angel group. We invest in anything that touches technology, whether it's in the life sciences, clean tech, or normal tech.
Hi, Arun Panmetsa. I'm an investor with Storm Ventures. We're an early stage enterprise focused fund.
Yeah, my name is Harry Feng. We are a Fusion fund. We are investor early stage, deep tech, and the enterprise software. Thank you.
Sergei Paz, Entree Capital. We are based in London, Israel, and in the Bay Area. We are an early stage investor.
Hi, I'm Mark Lockereff with ClearPath Partners. I'm an angel investor in B2B SaaS apps, and I'm also on the investment committee of a European venture fund called Black River Ventures, where we invest in Series B rounds for cross-Atlantic deals.
I'm Sherry Chuang. I'm an investor with Sandhill Angels and Stanford Angels and Entrepreneurs. We're a group of 100 investors about 20 years ago, right, Ron? And I personally invest in enterprise SaaS, IoT, and infrastructure, which now is kind of seeped into the whole area of AI.
Okay, my name is Elisa Yaffa. I'm an angel investor, and I invest in whatever I am smart enough to understand, including data as a service, which is, I guess, an offshoot of software as a service. And I also am the managing director of Step Up Funding, and we invest in early stage, Series A, et cetera. We're located in Menlo Park.
Hi, I'm John Gardner with NGP Capital. We're a global venture capital firm, US, Europe, and China, and do mostly growth stage investing. I head our US digital health practice.
I'm Chuck Benkowski with US Venture Partners. I invest in Series A and B in Israel and the US, and SaaS, cloud, and cybersecurity.
Mary Jo Potter, Managing Director of Healthcare Angels, GP in Cressu Capital, member of Health Tech Capital, and LP on the investment committee for Purple Arch Ventures, which is Northwestern's, similar to Stanford.
Thank you. Thank you to our jury. Good luck.
That's forwards?
Yes.
Apple, Coca-Cola, Sherwin-Williams, General Dynamics, the U.S. Navy, and Stanford University. What do these organizations as well as 7,500 have in common. When they needed to rent specialty equipment, they searched Google and became customers of Quipped. Good afternoon. My name is Robert Padval. I'm the CEO and founder of Quipped, the B2B marketplace where companies rent, lease, and finance equipment from a global network of trusted suppliers. So why do you think these companies went to Google when they had a need to rent specialty equipment? Well, the answer is simple. They didn't know where else to go. If they did, don't you think it would have been easier to call a vendor directly? See, I have a background in manufacturing, and in the industrial world, we call this process sourcing. Sourcing is a process a company goes through when they have a need, but they don't know what the solution is, or they don't know where to get it. So why does this matter? Well, it's a problem. Sourcing can be very slow and inefficient. And if you're a doctor, engineer, scientist, or other highly skilled professional, spending hours on the phone or spending hours searching through or filtering through Google search results is probably not the best use of your time. That's why some of the greatest companies have tackled this problem. For example, if you needed to buy a laboratory freezer, you could easily do that on Alibaba. Or if you needed to buy a concrete grinder, you could do that on Grainger. But what if instead of buying equipment, you needed to rent or lease equipment? Well, no company has tackled that problem until now. And it turns out a lot of companies rent and lease equipment. When we think of equipment rentals, we think of construction. But just about every industry has rental and lease demand. And that's where Quipped comes in. We've built a one-click sourcing process that makes sourcing and securing equipment rentals and leases incredibly fast and easy. Our customers save time, our suppliers make money, and everyone involved reduces their risk. So how does it work? Well, companies come to Quipped and they create a request for quote. We recently had a request come in from Brookdale Hospital Medical Center in New York. They were conducting a clinical trial and they needed a laboratory centrifuge for a short period of time. So they told Quipped about the application and we matched that request up with suppliers on our network. Brookdale used our built-in messaging platform to collaborate with our supplier network. They talked about technical specifications, application issues, and logistics. They then received multiple quotes back from our network. And this allowed them to easily compare options. Upon accepting a quote, they entered their credit card information, and they electronically signed the rental contract. We have lots of these stories to tell. Ecolab rented an environmental chamber. Wahoo Docs rented some land surveying equipment. And Stanford University rented a microtome. It turns out a lot of companies rent and lease equipment. Worldwide, this is $1 trillion market. It also turns out a lot of companies are renting and leasing equipment on Quipped. We've had 7,500 organizations, large and small, use our platform to source equipment rentals. We have over $175 million in assets available for rent or lease. Our business has grown 300% year over year. And we're making money while we do it. At 20% of an average $3,500, we make $700 per rental. And at 10% of an average $14,000, we make $1,400 per lease. I'm a multi-exit entrepreneur, and I'm also a startup investor. In my experience, successful investing has depended upon two things. First, culture. There's probably no better indicator of success than an internal culture that's defined by passionate dedication, relentless creativity, and the expectation for success. That's the culture at Quipped, and we hope to meet some investment partners that share in our values and share our bold vision. Second is timing. Airbnb, Uber, Alibaba, that's what the growth curve looks like for some of the most successful marketplaces. So is now the time to consider Quipped? Thank you.
Questions?
So first of all, great job on the SEO. I think you guys own like four of the first 5 search results, right, for equipment rental. Mm-hmm. I'm curious, how does that break down if people actually put in the specific, metronome, grinder? I'm a city slicker. I have no idea what any of these things do. Right. Right. How does that work? Like, do you have a long tail of search results you need to keep?
So it is a long tail search strategy, but we have an internal strategy to focus in each vertical. We've gotten the most traction currently in laboratory and medical. We do a lot with clinical research. We do a lot with hospitals and universities. But we've had activity in all categories. We have over close to 30 different categories at this point. engineering equipment, electronics, metrology, construction, restaurant equipment, and our plan for scale is to expand to other categories and expand to other geographies.
How automated is the platform? In the 2 examples you showed, or the 3 examples for those pieces of equipment, where the requester puts in a request and then there's some kind of collaboration with who owns the equipment. How much of that do you have folks behind the scenes who are matchmaking and parsing that request to make the selection versus that just being enabled by the platform automatically?
So when the suppliers sign up, they tell us what kind of equipment they rent and where they rent it, and then the algorithm matches opportunities, essentially puts these opportunities into an inbox, and then they engage. So we're not experts on all these equipment categories, but our suppliers are. So they'll use the messaging platform to qualify the opportunities and consult to understand what solution might be the best fit, and then they'll actually submit a quote directly to the platform, which gets sent directly to the renter. So it is fairly, I wouldn't say it's automated via technology, but it's automated via user engagement.
And how does the requester find the supplier?
It's a request for quote process. So the RFQ, for example, for a laboratory centrifuge will come in, and it'll go out to all the suppliers that say we deal in laboratory equipment.
So do you then broker when equipment isn't available that should be available?
So that's an opportunity. So since the day we started, our #1 problem is we've had more demand than supply.
Well, or people keep the equipment longer. When I was in college, my brother sold for this Ahern Rentals company. Used to do equipment rentals.
They're actually a supplier.
I'm sure you're familiar with that. And so his big issue was a construction site would have something and something would get delayed, and then the next guy couldn't get their equipment. And so you broker what, a next level person for them, or what do you do there?
No, we're not, and we're not actually dealing so much in yellow iron. We do deal in construction, but in general, our rentals tend to be longer term. We have rentals going out years. And in the case where a rental ends, we upsell rental extensions. 40% of our revenue actually comes from rental extensions. So we have a semi-AR revenue model because we can forecast rental contracts out quite a ways.
More questions? No more questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
And now my pleasure to invite Allure Systems. Allure, please.
Thank you. Okay. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Thank you very much for being here. My name is Gabrielle Chow. I'm the founder of Allure Systems. Previously, I was an entrepreneur, and I exited from my 2 previous companies. And I created Allure with Jérémy Chamou, who is a computer vision engineer whose technology in total immersion was sold to Qualcomm. So together, we created Allure because we have a little frustration. I shop online. I shop for clothes, and probably like you, I feel very frustrated because I see the model, she looks gorgeous, but I don't feel I look exactly like her. Don't laugh. The reality is that we probably all have this feeling because we feel a little bit different. We have all different ethnicities, body shape, and the challenge is that retailers cannot put enough images to convince us online. Why they don't? Because they work in a super fast fashion environment, but they still shoot photo like we did in the 19th century. It's one of the areas that hasn't moved. Model, photographer, stylist, etc. It doesn't work in this economy where if you don't put your items online, you lose revenue. And the worst is if you put too little images, consumers are going to order 10 items, return 7, or they're going to not buy at all. So in Allure, we found a solution for that. We virtualize the model, and we virtualize the clothes. And we provide the SaaS platform to combine the two together to do an unlimited number of combinations of the two. So images such as those one, where the model exists but never wear those clothes, and therefore you can change the model and decide which one you want to present to the consumer. And the benefits are obvious for our clients, the retailers, and the brands. It reduces costs by 50%. It goes much faster, sometimes 4 times faster. So imagine what additional revenue they can do online. And it addressed the needs for inclusivity. And this is the most important because the consumers have changed and they want to see the clothes in all different number of items. So this is how it will look for the customer online. She can see the products on different ethnicity, but she can also see it on a plus size or on a model that look like her, or she can see it in 3 dimensions. So this is great already, but it's also the capacity to bring it in augmented reality so that she can see the clothes directly in her living room, or she can see it also when she goes into the shop. She can share with her friends. This is Jeremy. So imagine when you are in a shop, you are in the showrooming experience where now you shop, but you don't have enough space to see all the clothes. So she can see right away how to style the clothes. She can see how it would look like on her. Or if I'm buying for my daughter, I can make it try by an avatar that looks like my daughter. So this is really the future of commerce, of shopping. Of course, we're not the only one to have thought about that. There are a few players that work on the virtual model, but they work in 2 dimensions. And we have tried to address it in a 3 dimension that gives us both realism. It's very important in fashion because you're buying clothes. It's not a cartoon. It needs to be pretty. And at the same time, the 3D gives you the virtual try-on. So the revenue model it's a SaaS. It's based on subscription. The price goes down with the volume, but for us, it's more revenue with the volume of images shot. And the value proposition for the retailers is very obvious. It cuts their costs, and that's super important. But also, they can improve conversion and diminish their return. So it attracts them to this proposition. So where are we now? We created the company in 2017. We have 4 customers in France. And here we are in San Francisco because Walmart is doing a pilot with us. And we have about 1 million revenue in ARR. And our clients renew for the next year. So we're looking for funding, about 2 million. And the objective is to flip the company to the US because it's a much bigger market, tenfold. And also to start to recruit sales and marketing because we don't have sales today. This is Allure System. I'm Gabrielle Chow, and I'm ready to take your questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions? Eric?
We look at different product and technology like that, but when we perform the due diligence, at the end of the day, the retailer or the e-commerce vendor wants more purchase order. Do you have data that demonstrate that the consumer is buying more because of that?
Well, first, the retailer, they are very interested in reducing costs, first. Second, they are interested in the diversity, to be able to address diversity, and that gives them a better conversion rate. And third, when you add visuals, images, when the consumer has more images, he tends to purchase more. So do I have data? It depends on each client, and that's why I cannot give you a firm data.
So for not having sales and marketing, you've done a pretty good job generating sales. So congrats on that. I'm curious. You mentioned that the cost is 50% lower, and I'm surprised it's not 95% lower. I mean, if you're using virtual models and sort of infinite number of them, like why aren't you saving your customers, tremendously more money?
Well, first we make money.
You're expensive. Okay.
The second reason, to some of them, we save far more money. But they tend to shoot their catalog in a very industrialized system. So they're not there for creativity. They have their model and they shoot. It's 50% for them. It's already 0.5% of their revenue, because shooting, the cost of shooting is about 1% of their revenue.
More questions, please? Jury, questions from jury? No more questions? Thank you, Allure System. Thank you. Okay, and we're almost done with this panel. Now it's time for me to ask our judges if you could give just a few words. What company for you personally was most exciting? You need to think a few seconds. Okay, take a few seconds to think. Dear jury, please put your names and names of the company on the sheets, and you could leave it on the table. I pick it up. Okay, who is a brave? Sorry?
I like Quipped best.
Good. Eric, which one you're more excited?
I like the, sorry, I don't remember the name of the company, you know, the optimization of shipping and trading.
OpenSea.
Yeah, OpenSea.
TapClassifieds.
Roykoi. Oh, no agreement at all. I like it. Means that everyone good.
The hiring referral, well, I forgot the name.
Hiring Roykoi.
Roykoi, yeah, that was.
We have 7 judges, 7 companies. Each one pick different.
Two of us said.
Ah, okay. Yes.
I liked Quipped and OpenSea.
Okay.
Well, if I get 2 votes, I'll say I liked Quipped and Roykoi.
Okay. And Quipped and?
Roykoi.
Roykoi. Thank you.